Hi. In the next video, I'm going to be doing a science experiment up on the screen, and I wanted to give you a chance to put together the supplies so that if you want, you can follow along. It's super easy, very simple directions, really common supplies that we're going to be using. Definitely something we want the adults to do, not the kids, however. I feel like, what are we supposed to say? Get a grown-up to help you with this. Here's what you're going to need. Some clear, could be glass, could be plastic, but something that you can see through. I've got some water right here. I've also got a mixture 1-to-1 bleach and tap water. So that's about a quarter of the way in this cup is bleach, and then the second quarter is water, and just swirled together a little bit. Some baking soda and a package of food coloring. I had this in the closet already. You might have some too. If not, it's a couple of bucks at the grocery store. Pro tip, they do not keep the food coloring drops with the food coloring gels and the icings. You have to look in the spices section. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. In the empty cup, I'm gonna put in, a little bit of baking soda. A teaspoon maybe a tablespoon. Doesn't have to be a lot. I'm gonna fill that container, that cup, just about halfway up with some water like this. At first, it's probably gonna be really murky, kind of an off, almost a grayish color, but the baking soda is gonna fall out of the water. The oversaturated baking soda is just gonna settle down at the bottom, and in just a couple of minutes, that water is gonna start to look a lot clearer, and I think you can almost see through it by now. It's pretty quick. With the food coloring, we're gonna look at the different colors and assign each one of the colors one of those deadly sins. The four that I think are most kind of impactful, especially for younger students, are anger, greed, envy, and sloth. So with each of these, I would ask the kids to consider whether that particular sin we're talking about at the moment is not a problem for them, a little problem, or a big problem. And then based on their sort of examination of conscience, they'll take a different action. If we're talking about the sin of anger, and I've got my red anger color here, and they're like, no, that's not me, anger's not really a big problem, then they don't put it in. If it's a little problem, they're gonna add 1 drop. If they think it's a big problem, that's the thing that they're always getting in trouble for, or that's behind most of their sins, then they might add 2 drops. Super easy. Drop, drop. And there's something about the way that it kind of falls into the water and it's just suspended there. It makes these beautiful patterns. At first, it's really kind of pretty, but as we go through the other sins, that prettiness is gonna fade real fast. Here's our second color. Green, the color of greed. Is that a problem? If it's not, don't put it in. If maybe a little bit, you might add 1 drop, and if greed or materialism is a big problem for your kid, maybe 2. Boom. Again, see the colors kind of hanging and slowly working their way through the water. Blue here. Blue, this is the color of envy. Jealousy. I'm mad about somebody else's success or the good things that somebody else has. I wish that they didn't have the good stuff they've got. Not a problem? Don't worry about it. Little problem? 1 drop. Big problem? 2 drops. Notice how those pretty colors are getting a little less pretty. They've turned this kind of ominous dark shade up on the top. And finally, my color yellow. The color of laziness or sloth. Not a problem, little problem, big problem. Over the next few minutes, these colors are gonna spread through the water and they're gonna darken it. You can speed that up just with a little swirl. See that? Now we can have a conversation about what it takes to get those sins back out of us. Because there's really no effective way of getting just the sin out of this cup, just the color out and leaving the water the way it was at the beginning, nice and clean and clear. But the bleach water here helps us to do that. We can't get that out on our own, but with something a little stronger, we'll say the grace of Jesus, the forgiveness of Jesus, the love of Jesus. I put in not a whole lot. And then count. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Give it another minute, and those colors will be all but gone. There we are. It's not quite perfect, but it's a whole lot better, right? Give it time. It'll continue to lighten for the next minute or so. So if you'd like to follow along as we do this next video, feel free. Or you can watch the video and then use this as a kind of examination of conscience with your own child right before they go to their first confession. You can use this any way you like. I hope that's a useful symbolic activity. I hope it helps you and your child to use the shared language of the deadly sins to prepare for first reconciliation. And I'm going to move on to our next video now.